Alright, y'all, I'm gonna jump right into this next video. This next video, I'm basically talking about my first major step, the first big step I took within my detransition. In my detransition, the first thing I had to do was take care of my chest. Being as though I had got such big implants, which I'm actually grateful that at least I went the implant way instead of some other kind of ways that you could go, which it could have been a bigger situation. Everything kind of worked out fine because I heard so many good reviews about Dr. Alexander in Fort Lauderdale at the South Florida Medical Center, and heard so many great stories about him. I even had one of my closest friends tell me like make sure that I go to him. So when I went to him or whatever, and he was a man of very little words. He didn't. It wasn't much of a consultation. He just got straight to the point, and that's how I say that you just changed so much. Because when I was getting him put in, I let him be more straight to the point. We didn't have a lot of conversations. I wasn't even really sure what size. He came and he put three implants on a table, pop, pop, pop. And me and my best friend sitting there. I'm like, to literally see the implant right there in front of me, and I'm touching them, I'm feeling them, and it was 600, 700, and 800 or whatever. So I was feeling the 700s or whatever. My best friend was feeling the 800. My best friend, like anybody who knows Jermaine knows that Jermaine is the epitome of a friend, the best friend like ever or whatever. He's leaning towards the 800, of course. You know what I'm saying? So I'm leaning towards the sevens or whatever. And I was still unsure, so he just told me like I'm gonna go here with the 800s. He basically told me I had a big back, and that to even it out and make it good, he was gonna put the bigger size in there. And he was straight up and blunt. And I took it, and he ended up giving me 900 in both sides. And I mean, I took it, and I was happy, and it was hype. It was an accomplishment during that time for me when I was in my transition. Now fast forward to me detransition, and I had to pay much. I think like it was like 4,000 or something to get the implants put in, and like 6,000 to get them taken out or whatever. So when I go back down there to get them taken out, I go and I'm hollering at Dr. Alexander. Mind you, this is probably like my third or fourth time going to see him and get something done or whatever. And any other time I'm like whatever. But this time I was so nervous, and I just know that I was just wanting it to be right, and I wanted to get it done. And I didn't have no time, and I wasn't playing like how I was just accepting anything and just like so confused. I had a perfect vision of what I wanted to do and what I wanted and what I needed, and I needed things to be explained to me because, like I said, I have a pretty like everything is pretty good. My stomach is still, I still got my gut or whatever, and I'm working on that. I'm working on it. But I didn't want to be really messed up. I knew it was gonna leave a scar or whatever. I figured I'd get a tattoo, or I would just be proud of my scar, however it came. But I wanted it to make sure it was flat. I didn't want to be had no big chest or anything like that. I wanted it to be like, you know what I'm saying. And I just wanted to make sure. And he just wasn't kind of giving me the conversation that I and the amount of communication. He was too fast, so I ended up picking a whole different doctor. I looked and was walking down the hallway just thinking about it, making sure this was exactly what I wanted to do. And as I'm walking down the hallway, I see a picture of Dr. Lakin, and I actually then turned around and seen Dr. Lakin walking up behind me, and I was kind of explaining to him like I had to go through everything and like tell him exactly what I want. Like, okay, 14 years ago I transitioned. I end up getting these big, gigantic implants, and now I'm so unhappy with my life. I've been spending the last year walking around miserable, and I need this out, but I want to make sure I look normal as I can, and this is what I need, this is what I need. And he took the time and he talked to me, and he talked to me, and da 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 da. He made me feel really comfortable, and I end up taking my money from Dr. Alexander, moving it to Dr. Lakin, and letting Dr. Lakin do it that very next day or whatever. And like he did a pretty good job. I think that Dr. Alexander might have still done a better job or whatever because it's flat and it's like how I wanted it. He could have did it a little bit more to my liking, I think, or whatever. And I also could have been a little bit more in shape too. That probably would have helped it. And I think that Dr. Alexander probably would have left a smaller incision or whatever. But I was just so happy to be able to wear a shirt and feel confident and to feel like a male. That was the first big step. And I tell you, it was like the biggest step I ever made in my life. I'll never forget the day, February 28th, 2018 is the day when I got my implants removed. Not only did they remove the implant, they fixed the nipple, they like just made everything perfect. Liposuction, the extra fat out there because it also was some from the hormones, and they made me my nice and flat and made me feel like a man. South Florida Medical Center, y'all don't owe me nothing for real, for real. Like I'm very happy for that, and that was a big experience because when I set in my mind and I said that I was ready to detransition and that was what I wanted to do, I became so miserable. Nobody really knew to check on me. Everybody thought it was a joke. And then my family, I never really told my family because in my family, I'm more of the stronger person. I don't put my problems on anybody. And it was also embarrassing. It was embarrassing when I was having problems or whatever to actually talk about it, knowing that I did this on my own when I know that many people didn't even want me to do this, but this was the decision that I made on my own. I transitioned and I just felt so bad. Like any problems that I'm having right now, I'm going to keep to myself because all people going to do is like think you did this to yourself. And that's why if you know anybody or think anybody's having this kind of problems or you see any signs of this going on with somebody, be there for them and help them because thank God that I have such a strong relationship with God and I have so much so much knowledge of him and so much of my own relationship with him, and it just makes me such a strong person. And just knowing that God has placed something different on my life and how I have to be this strong for somebody that may be watching this video. I knew that in the thought of, and while I was going through it, I knew that I would have to be so strong, and it's just something that I had to come out successful, something that I had to do because somebody needed to hear this story. Somebody needed to know that somebody went through this. Like I said before in the video, I never knew anybody that went through it, so I didn't even know it was possible. I didn't even know if this was an option. And because I was young and I made so many fast decisions, like this is what it had to come down to me doing. So now that I feel as though I'm doing it successfully and I'm getting happy, like please don't get it twisted. My life has got so much better since I made this. I don't have any regrets. Never. I do look at my old clips. People know I have clips of me voguing and performing on YouTube and stuff like that. I look back at them and some of them have good memories, some of them have bad memories and stuff like that or whatever. I don't regret it, but I'm so much more happier where I am now. The ballroom scene part of my transition was the best part of it, you know what I'm saying? And the experiences that I made from it. But would I do it again? No, I wouldn't. I do it over that way if I could choose or whatever. And I'm definitely proud of the steps that I'm making. I'm proud of myself. Give myself a pat on the back for even making this video and sharing my life because people are so judgmental. And there were times and very dark moments. I know I make it look good. I made it look easy. I posted up every step of the way. I posted on Facebook. I talked to everybody. I told people what I was doing. Why? Just in case it was somebody else that was going through this that could see my story and make them have more confidence or keep them from making some of the bad mistakes. Know everything that's out there before you get into it. Know if it's going to be a way out. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, I feel this way now." You never know how God is going to change you or how you're going to grow as a person. So you can't say in 20 years you'll be the same person. We are all forever growing and forever changing. The moral of the story is love yourself regardless. Love yourself regardless and be able to make any changes if you feel stuck or not or whatever. If you might not like the outcome, you might feel like you went too far. Carry yourself, represent, and have people treat and call you what you feel as though you want to be called. And that goes in any direction that you take it in because when it all said and done, we need to stop judging. Religions need to stop judging older people, different race people. We got to stop judging if we want God to judge us fairly. You understand what I'm saying? We got to leave that to God. Let people have to come before God on their own terms, and God his own different things set for different people. So just because I wasn't supposed to be trans and I didn't decide to live my life like that doesn't mean that it's going to be the same way for the next person. But that's not for me to judge anybody. I'll welcome and open my arms to anybody. That's for God to judge. And if we all kept that same mentality in the church, in the workplace, in life in general, it would be a happier place, and a lot of people would be able to come to conclusions on their own. So if you have somebody that's transitioning and you don't like it, or detransitioning you don't like it, you got to keep that to yourself and just love them, love the spirit, love the person that they are, and let them figure it out. You could tell somebody you might have a problem with it, but at the end of the day, you have to let them go for themselves. That's what I love about my family. Like my family, I know the detransition. I mean, I know the transition in the first place might not have been what they expected for me, and that some people even told me, some older people in the family, and I didn't want to listen to them. Now I have to look back and listen and realize that they was right, but it was something that I had to go through. You know what I'm saying? But I just love my family because the way that they treat me is like it never changed no matter what. And that's part of the reason why I can be as humble in how I am in my situation, because no matter what, my family never pressured me or made me feel less of a person no matter what. Do you know what I'm saying? So share that, spread that. I love you no matter who you are or what you're going through. Hold your head up high, talk to God, come outside, find somebody to talk to. You can write me, hit me up, and tell me all about it. I'm here.